Stephen Bennett, thank you for joining me this afternoon. I know you wanted to be on the show tonight, but you've obviously been stuck now in the Parliament. Legislation is going to be rammed through, or attempted to be rammed through this afternoon by the Palaszczuk government in relation to the Paradise Dam issue. Now, we talked about it last night on my program. An enormous response from viewers, not just Queenslanders. Anyone who thinks Australia should be building more dams made contact with the program, very angry, not just about what's happening here, but I have to say about the secrecy. Now, tell me why. Why is the Palaszczuk government trying to push this legislation through so quickly this week?
The line that they're giving us is about a safety concern, but quite frankly, that still hasn't been proven. No inquiry has actually run its full course. There's been some technical reports that haven't been peer-reviewed. And in addition to all that, the stakeholders locally, like fruit and veggie growers and cane growers, have funded their own international expert to put up solutions about repair. I can only guess that it's about an ideologically driven Greens preference deal, and I would hate to think that was a reality. But I cannot, in good conscience, think of any other reason why you would want to fast-track the decommissioning of the newest dam in Queensland. It's just beyond belief.
Yeah, look, it is the newest dam. It's the last time Australia built a significant large-scale dam. I'm going to speak to a grower from Bundaberg in just a moment. I understand the horticulture and agricultural impacts of this dam. Tell the rest of Australia, though, what it will do to your region if this dam is decommissioned.
Well, the most sinister thing, to go back to that specific question, is they talked about water security and there'd be no problems. Trust us, it's fine. They've already announced that there will be only a 16% water allocation from June, July. Now, that's not enough to sustain avocados and macadamias, for example. We will have an issue. The other thing, we'll see horse trading of water allocations by, say, cane growers, who are probably marginal in some cases. We'll see the destruction of the sugar industry. But recent surveys that have been done, again, not by government, but by Jack Dempsey, our mayor, and Bree Grammer from Fruit and Veggie Growers, they've come with some damning statistics. 1 in 5 people could end up losing their job. $1 billion hit to our economy when you think about the transactions that won't progress for new macadamia farms or those investments of expansion that people may have been contemplating. It's about water security when you sell a region like ours. Without water, we go back to dryland farming, we deteriorate. It is catastrophic, I've got to tell you. And, of course, the way this has been treated, and what's been worse today, is the sheer arrogance in Parliament with smirks and laughs when they try and debate water security. It's very infuriating. And, of course, what that means for us is we don't have any confidence that they're really sincere about anything else but making sure that they devastate this damn wall on some ideologically driven agenda.
Look, the only legislation I've ever seen go through the Parliament in quick time have been issues of national security, and generally they've been bipartisan in that both sides of politics have received the security briefings and they've understood the urgency, and it's only happened in a handful of circumstances at a national level. What worries me here are two things. One, of the government's trying to ram through this legislation before their own inquiries report. Now, that should tell you everything. But also the level of secrecy around why this dam has so many structural issues. Now, it's a Peta project. It goes back to about 2005 when it was opened. There's systemic failure in the dam infrastructure, and it's like the government doesn't want anyone to know how bad it is. Before you came into the Parliament, you came out of the building industry. What's your professional assessment, if you can give us that tonight, on where we've got to with this dam and why the secrecy?
Well, there's two things, and being a builder, it is about cost and it is about quality, but it's also about being compliant with all the regulations that we have to work under. Now, I've got to tell you, Peter, that this Amendment 4 that we're about to get into, it removes 17 state acts responsibilities, would allow some water immediately to start the demolition of this spillway. You think about that for a minute, a government moving regs and changing acts, so they don't have to comply with all the environmental approvals. They don't have to deal with workplace health and safety. It is just heard of. And the other thing, as my building background, this is the initial responses to repair are talking, Building Queensland, which is arguable whether we believe much out of there anyway, talks about a $700 million solution. So I put it to you, you talk about spending $100 million to top the top off, you move on, you remove any responsibility, tick the box, and if with a broke state government, that may be a solution as well. So I can only tell you, if people can contemplate ramming through legislation on the first sitting week of a new decade, 17 state acts will be modified this evening if we can't do something dramatic to get this stopped, to allow some water to just progress aggressively in chopping the top off this spillway at Paradise Dam.
Stephen Bennett, I know you have to go. Your vote's needed in the Parliament. I will watch the debate closely, and I'll certainly give people an update tonight during the show. But thank you very much for your time tonight.
And thanks for the interest. Thank you. Bye.
And just as an update, we're aware that the bill is about 10 or so minutes away from being voted on in the Queensland Parliament as we go to air just now. Let me bring in someone else who is going to feel the impacts very much of this government decision if it passes Parliament in Queensland tonight. Bree Grimer is the Managing Director for Bundaberg Fruit and Vegetable Growers Cooperative. She joins me from Bundaberg via Skype. I tell you what, Bree, I can't for the life of me understand the rush, these changes being forced through the Parliament this evening, even before the government's own inquiry begins hearings set for March. What are you being told as to the rush on this legislation and these changes to bring down the dam capacity?
Hi, Peter, and thank you very much for the invitation to come along. Look, there's a whole lot of information that we have not been told. It appears that state government is breaking its own rules and I guess commitments around consulting with the community, because we simply have not been consulted about this. From September last year, decision after decision has been made, which has been impacting the community, the industry and the irrigators that rely on Paradise Dam for their livelihood. And these are the exact same industries that are putting food on everyday Australians' tables every single day. So there's an awful lot that we haven't been told.
Well, Brie, I just don't understand. I don't understand the politics and the policy in all of this, because we talk about making our regions food growing hubs for Asia. We talk about putting jobs into regional communities. We say, let's bring in all these immigrants as we do, and the excuse the government has is we'll populate our regions. A number of years ago when this dam opened, it was 2005, a lot of businesses, horticultural businesses, moved into the region in the hope of being able to irrigate and, grow businesses in and around the Bundaberg area. Now, I'm told your area is over a $4 billion local economy, which is huge in a regional community. A lot of investment decisions by growers have been made on the back of having water security. What's going to be the impact now?
That's right, and it's going to have a massive flow-on impact to the entire community. Paradise Dam is one of the main reasons why this region has progressed the way it has. The amount of investment that has come into the region, and it's not just the products that we're growing, so not only the variety, but the sheer volume that's coming from this region. We're the largest macadamia producing region in Australia. We're the largest avocado growing region by size. We're home to the largest chili company in Australia. There's a whole range of statistics. We provide over nearly 75% of Australia's sweet potatoes. All of these businesses are going to be impacted, all of the people and the employment jobs that they support. Investment has continued to expand in huge volumes in this region in the last 5 years, and that is all going to be severely impacted by these decision makers who have not consulted with the regional groups, with the regional irrigators, and that's what we're asking for.
So where do you go to now? I was just in contact with Stephen Bennett. This is in the Parliament right now. It's likely to pass this evening because Labor's got the numbers and there's only one house in the Queensland Parliament, a lower house. Where to now?
The irrigators of the Wide Bay region have been funding their own fight against this. We have commissioned an international expert on dam safety and engineering. He came across to the region last week. We went out to Paradise Dam. We had a walk out there, and he will be providing an independent, fact-based report. We are hoping to place this in front of state government and Sunwater, and we'll be requesting that the Minister does not progress with any future decisions until all the information is placed in front of him. They need this information. They also need information about an economic impact analysis report, again, being funded by the irrigators themselves, because it's vitally important this information gets shared. What we're asking is that no further decisions are made about the dam until all the facts are in front of them. We're also specifically requesting that further testing be done. So the reports that were released by Sunwater, but in the conclusions of the Tatra-Hines report, they clearly state that additional testing should be undertaken and that further testing may therefore address the dam safety factor. If the recommendation is for further testing, it needs to be done.
Well, I'll give you a commitment here, Bree. Anytime you want to come on and talk about this issue, I think it's got a stink of a scandal about it. You have an open invitation on the Credlin program. But two things in your favour. I have to say, your federal local member has just been made the federal water minister today. He's being sworn in at Government House as we go to air tonight. Hopefully he'll be able to draw a lot of attention and put some pressure back on his counterpart in Queensland over this very issue. But of course, it's an election in October in Queensland, a state election, and what's happening to you could happen to any other regional community in Queensland. Legislation rammed through, acts removed, all done without consultation. So more strength to your arm. I hope you keep getting plenty of publicity on this issue. And as I said, you're very welcome here anytime, Bree. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.